Hello everybody, we are back this week. Thank you for tuning in. Give people a few seconds. This week we are talking all about lobsters, which I've got a beautiful one right here. It's been pre-cooked already, but as you may have seen, we do have live lobsters on feature this week. Absolutely beautiful. They are the 1¼ pound size lobsters on average. And they are gorgeous. So today, I'm gonna cook one of these guys up, show you kind of what we're doing, and hopefully give you some good ideas for the upcoming week. Again, beautiful lobsters, gotta love it. One of everybody's favorite seafood items. And to cook these ones again have been pre-cooked already. So these have been just boiled in some water. And when you're doing lobsters, the general rule is to poach them for about 7 to 8 minutes per pound. So one that's 1¼ pounds, you're gonna go probably between, roughly 8 to 12 minutes on. And I'm gonna be cooking this a little bit further. So if it's a little underdone, that's okay, because we're gonna finish it kind of in the pan. So to break these down is not too hard. I'm gonna grab my little pan here. I'll kind of show you. Once it's cooked and cooled, it all separates pretty easily. You just take the lobster tail with your hand and twist, and it'll come right on off of there, like so. And then claws, same thing. You can just break them off and do that. And then you split the tail down the middle. And what I'm gonna do is, once I've got my tails all split down the middle, like you can see I have here, let's kind of show you close. So I've just got this tail split right down the middle. Pretty simple. Again, this has already been pre-cooked, and now it's split. So what I want to do is I really just want to re-warm the lobster through. So I've got my pan going here, and I'm going to add a little bit of oil and a little bit of butter. And I'm just going to get this kind of melted. And then what I want to do is sear those tails to get kind of a nice crust on them. Once I've got that, I'm going to remove them from the pan, and I'm going to make a very classic butter sauce called a beurre blanc. So basically what we're doing here, lobster and butter. Two of the best things you could probably have together. Absolutely beautiful. And we're going to just kind of take it up to the next level. And a lot of people have questions on doing these kinds of things, so I figured I'd show you how to do it here on camera. So my butter, my oil is going pretty good, so I'm going to put my lobster tails in, and I'm going to put them meat side down. And again, I just really want to warm them through and get that nice beautiful crust on them. So nothing crazy. We're not looking to, again, cook these through, because again, they've been warmed up already. So all I want to do is develop that crust and kind of bring them back to life. And right towards the end, I'm going to throw kind of the claws in with it, just to heat those through as well. Again, everything is pre-cooked, so we don't need to worry about cooking these through. I'm just going to baste the shells a little bit just to kind of make those look nice and fancy. Make them look good. And again, this won't take long to really develop that crust. It's already starting to brown pretty nicely. Kind of show you here what I'm looking at. So again, it's starting to come along pretty well, which is great. These lobsters are actually out of Canada. That's a really beautiful, nice lobster. They are actually the same species as the Maine lobsters that everybody knows and loves. They're just from a little bit further north. These are known as American lobsters, American red lobsters. You can see them kind of on a lot of different, called a lot of different things. But again, they're all the same species. And these are what's called an X-half. Now, in fishmonger speak, X-half basically means 1¼ pound. So 1¼ pound lobster, average size. And again, we've got these on feature this week. for $11.99 a pound, which is a great deal. And I'm just going to move them around in the pan a little bit to make sure that we get some nice even coloring on them. And I'm going to go ahead and add these claws at this point. And again, I just want to warm up the claws in this butter, because you don't want to waste anything. And this is looking really nice here. Again, I'm just kind of basting a little butter over these claws to make them look nice and shiny, buttery, delicious. Exactly what we want. And I've already cracked the claws so you can have easy access to the meat. It's not that hard to do. I just use my knife to kind of crack off the bottom part of the shell. So again, pretty simple. We're probably getting pretty close here on these. So I'm going to check that. Yeah, those are looking nice and buttery. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these from my pan to give those claws just a little bit of extra time. And get them in that butter. Get them nice and warm through. These are probably good to go. So I'm going to remove these and just set these on a little bit of a side plate here while I get the rest of my stuff going. So to this butter, I'm going to add a little bit of shallot. I'm going to get this cooking off here. This is just some finely chopped shallots. This is going to help add a little bit of flavor. And I want to cook these just until they kind of start to soften, which goes pretty quick. My pan is already really hot. Plus I want to make sure to get all those little bits of lobster off the bottom. Anything that lobster left behind. That's going to add a lot of flavor to the final dish. I'm also going to add a little bit of vinegar. Now I'm using this really nice cider vinegar here from Omed. This is one of my favorite things. You've probably seen me use it quite a bit. And I'm just going to cook this until that vinegar basically reduces all the way down. It's already smelling really, really, really nice. Looks like maybe we've got a question here. Oh, awesome. We do this every week. So if you're hoping this is a regular thing, every Tuesday, 1 o'clock, we've been doing this, and we've been getting a lot of great support from all of you, which is fantastic. We're getting lots of views, which is very cool. And definitely share this with your friends. Let them know. We've been doing this a while, but we've just started adding in the cooking segments kind of this year as a new thing, because we really want to show you how to work with some of these beautiful products that we get, especially their like weekly features and things like that. Because sometimes you just don't know really how to work with it. So, I've got this going, which is great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat basically down to nothing. And I'm going to start adding in my butter bit by bit here. So now I'm going to start building the sauce. And to do this, what we want to do is create a little bit of space here. Because again, we don't want a lot of heat, and we want to emulsify this butter right into the sauce. And to do that, what you do is you basically just swirl it around. If you need more heat, go ahead, add it back to the heat, but we're going to be off and on this heat until we build our sauce. And you add, again, you want to use cold butter if possible. That's going to help it emulsify in nicer. But just a little bit at a time. A little bit more heat here. And we're going to go on heat, off heat, on heat, off heat, until we've got our sauce built. The idea is to melt this butter slowly enough that it doesn't break. And butter, if you notice, when you get it real hot, it tends to separate. You get the kind of clear golden butter part, but then you get the white frothy part that floats on top. And those are the milk solids. And what we want to do is we want to keep our butter perfectly intact. So I'm going to add a few more pieces here. And we want to keep doing this until we just have a really beautifully nice emulsed sauce. So again, on heat, off heat. And I'm swirling. Swirling helps emulsify that butter better. It's a very smooth, fluid way to mix the butter in. If we agitate it too much, again, it could break. So we're looking to be real gentle with this. It's looking pretty nice in there. And we've got some of that residual brown butter that we used from the lobster, which is nice. Again, that's going to add a little bit of flavor. And that's what's making this a little bit maybe darker than normal, which is fine because we want that nuttiness here. And this is building up very, very nicely. And we want to just take this until we get a nice, beautiful sauce consistency. So that butter is almost gone, so I'm going to add in a few more pieces here. And just let this kind of slowly melt in off the heat here. Now you could do a lot of different things with this beurre blanc. Lots of different fresh herbs will go really nicely in here. You could add some parsley, you could add some dill. Again, just so many different ways and variations you could do with this. But it's great for seafood. This would work with lots of different types of fish. So again, pretty slick, pretty easy. And again, I'm just swirling the liquid in the pan, and the pan is sort of hot enough to melt this butter and bring it down, which is great. And then what I'm going to do is, once this butter fully melts, a little bit on the heat, a little bit more. Again, we're looking to keep this pretty cool. Again, we do not want that butter to separate. That's a key. And it's not that hard. People tend to overthink this a little bit and think it's for fancy restaurants only, but you can really easily do this at home, and you should do it at home. It's delicious. It's absolutely great. And again, you know, people tend to freak out because it's a lot of butter, and it is, but we've also not really done a whole lot here. There's not a lot of fat that we've used so far, other than to just kind of sear off the lobster. So we want to add some fat to this dish to help kind of bring out some of that richness and some of those flavors in the lobster. All right, so my butter's mostly melted and we're pretty good here. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a bunch of fresh chopped tarragon. Now tarragon is an herb that I feel like sometimes people forget about, but it's fantastic. It goes beautifully well with seafood, and I'm just going to swirl that in and sort of bring this all together into this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sauce. Now, again, everything's good here. My butter didn't break, so we've got a good, nice sauce here going on. And then let it cool down a little bit. It will thicken a little bit more because it's butter. So I'm going to let that do its thing. I'm going to move my burner off to the side, and I'm going to grab my plate, because what I've got behind me is a little saffron risotto. Now, you could make your risotto from scratch, and if you have done that before, definitely do it. It's always great to do. But again, if you're looking to save some time, we've got these packages of risotto in the store that are fantastic. I'm surprised at how beautiful these turn out. They're really great. They take about 20 minutes to make, but the work is very minimal. So you can kind of let this go and do its thing while you make your lobster. Whereas if you were making a traditional risotto, you have to kind of let it sort of, you have to kind of babysit it, let it sit and hold together. I'm just going to add a little bit more liquid to this because it's kind of dried as we sat here, but otherwise this is just beautifully creamy. Show you here. Basically, what we have is a perfect saffron risotto. So again, this stuff is great. Helps make weeknight dinners go very quickly. Yet it's very elegant and could easily be a weekend feature dish if you were having a dinner party. And just like a good risotto should, you can shake the plate and it will spread out. Exactly what we want, so it's perfect. So I'm just going to kind of run this around like so until we have a nice even layer of that risotto. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lobster body here, I'm going to prop this guy up, and I'm going to take my two tails and I'm going to do this sort of thing, and then we've got the claws that we warmed through as well. We'll just sort of put these on the side. And now what we've got is just this absolutely beautiful lobster dish that I think anyone would be very, very happy to eat. So I've got my butter sauce now, which I'm just going to kind of finish here, if I don't spill it all over the place first. And I'm just going to kind of drizzle some over the tails and sort of all around my plate. And that fresh tarragon just helps everything pop. This looks absolutely fantastic. Drizzle a little over the body to help give that a little bit of shine. But what we've got here is just a really simple yet pretty luxurious lobster dish. So let me show you all up close what we got here. Absolutely beautiful. So the heat, I had kind of a medium-high heat, just your basic skillet. And again, the lobster is mostly boiled, and I just finished it in the pan just to get that sear on there. But again, this is an absolutely beautiful dish. If you went to a restaurant and paid for this, you would pay a lot. Not that you shouldn't do that, but you know, if you wanted to do this at home, it's so quick. All in all, it would take you about 20 minutes if you had all your stuff prepped and ready to go. So that's absolutely fabulous. Definitely make this perfect for the upcoming weekend or any night this week. Again, this goes really quickly, just super beautiful, easy to do. You can call ahead and reserve your lobsters if you want to. Highly recommend doing that. But it's just so easy to do. Again, have your shallots prepped, do the packet of risotto, helps save time, helps kind of cut down the effort, and it really is just almost just as good as any homemade restaurant risotto you get. Like it's really fantastic. So definitely check that out. Again, these lobsters are beautiful. So hopefully we'll see you in this week to take advantage of those. If you subscribe to our newsletter, you already know about the lobster feature this week. We also did a post to Facebook and Instagram this morning. So that's all out there. If you haven't subscribed to that newsletter, definitely do it. Go to coastalseafoods.com and click subscribe to newsletter. And that way you'll be kind of in touch with all of the features that we get in and everything that we're doing from week to week, along with various recipes and videos and different types of content. Let's see, we have one more question here. Oh, thank you. It's very doable. I cannot stress enough. You basically watched me make this in real time, with the exception of the risotto, which was cooking behind me the whole time. Didn't have to do anything with that. So super simple. Definitely do this. If you have questions, definitely feel free to direct message us. You can message me right on Facebook or send us an email. You can also call the store. Our store, Fishmongers in the Store, are always happy to help. So thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it as always, and hopefully we'll see you all back next week, next Tuesday, 1 o'clock. Every week we do this. So thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you soon.